People like you don't belong in federal court. The words land harder than the rip. Judge Meredith Shaw doesn't just deny Curtis Harlan, she tears his appeal in two, holds the halves like trash, and flicks her wrist toward the clerk. Laughter scrapes the benches. The bailiff, thick neck, forest green uniform, shoves the shredded pages into Curtis's hands as if they're contaminated. Curtis doesn't rise to it. He blinks once, slides the torn papers into a worn leather folder, the same one he carried through sand and heat and orders. Knuckles white, lips sealed. He turns to go. The room snickers, then stalls. A pen rolls, clicks under a pew, stops against his boot. The rear door clicks open and stays ajar. Curtis pauses mid-step. Someone's watching. Hours earlier, Curtis had stood outside the courthouse in brown slacks and a faded blue shirt, cuffs frayed from years of wear. He'd polished his shoes that morning, though the right sole flapped when he walked. In his breast pocket, wrapped in tissue, was a medal he hadn't shown in years, a commendation of legal merit from his time as a military legal advisor. As he approached the doors, Bailiff Harris blocked him. "Court filings are on the other side," the bailiff said flatly, eyes dropping to Curtis's shoes. "Defendants don't come in here." "I'm the petitioner," Curtis replied, holding out his summons. "You? With those shoes?" Harris scoffed, stepping aside like granting a favor. Inside, the room buzzed with property disputes and petty charges. When his name was called, Judge Shaw barely glanced up. "Veterans housing allotment. Is this a joke?" "No, Your Honor. It was cut due to an administrative error." She waved him off, snatching the file. One page scanned, and she tore it. "You think a crumpled copy and your word are enough?" The tissue wrapping slipped from his folder, revealing the medal. She sneered. "A trinket? Trying to play the hero?" From the benches, a young woman leaned forward. She'd seen that medal before. Curtis bent to retrieve the medal, slow and deliberate, as if the weight of it could still anchor a man. He didn't speak. He didn't rise to her tone. He only turned the medal between his fingers, edges worn from years in a desk drawer. Judge Shaw smirked, called for the next case. But before the clerk could respond, the side door creaked. A tall man in a navy suit stepped in, silver badge gleaming beneath the courtroom lights. "Lawrence Hill, Director of Court Oversight." Murmurs rippled. He didn't glance at the bailiff. His eyes locked on the bench. "Your Honor, I received a complaint about conduct unbecoming during today's hearings," he said. "I came to see for myself." "This is a private proceeding," she snapped. "No, ma'am. Public courthouse. And that man," he pointed to Curtis, "is a decorated legal officer who served under my division for 15 years. The room froze. Even the bailiff straightened. Lawrence stepped closer. "The paper you tore, wrote your paychecks." Curtis rose slowly, the worn leather folder still in his grip. He stepped to the bench, laid the shredded appeal on the wood, and reached deeper, pulling out an original federal directive, his own signature at the bottom. The judge's eyes flicked down, then back to his. "That paper," he said evenly, "isn't just an appeal. It's proof I served this country." Silence spread like a shadow. A clerk stood, walked around to Curtis, and gave a small, deliberate nod. Judge Shaw's hands trembled as she slid the torn pieces back toward him, but he didn't take them. Instead, he placed the medal on top and stepped back. From the rear, someone whispered, "That's the man who trained my brother's attorney." No one laughed now. Curtis turned, walking toward the exit with the steady pace of someone who'd carried heavier burdens. Behind him, the judge sat motionless, her breath uneven, like she'd mistaken a lion for a shadow. Outside, a reporter called after him, asking if it was true he'd designed the veteran housing program. Curtis didn't answer. His gaze lingered on the mural above the lobby, Lady Justice, her scales dulled by time. His reflection stood beneath, worn but unshaken. The bailiff who had mocked him earlier stepped into the hall, paused, and muttered, "Sir." Curtis kept walking. Inside, Lawrence Hill leaned over the bench. "You can recuse yourself, or be removed," his voice cutting through the marble hush. A clerk retrieved the medal, this time brushing it clean before setting it down with care. Curtis reached into his coat, pulled out an old JAG ID badge, studied it, then slipped it away. A loose sheet skittered across the floor, brushing his shoe. He stepped over it. A week later, Judge Shaw quietly stepped down from veteran-related cases. No public apology. Only a small courthouse memo on procedural respect. Curtis never commented on the headline that followed, "Decorated legal veteran humiliated in courtroom." Back at his Eastwood legal clinic, a nervous young man entered with papers in hand. "They said you help people no one else listens to." Curtis gestured to the chair. "You're not the first. And you won't be the last." He pulled out a fresh folder, this one spotless. This story is a reminder that dignity isn't measured by titles, clothes, or appearances, it's revealed when you're tested. Prejudice can strip away respect in seconds, but the truth, when it stands, needs no defense. Sometimes the quietest person in the room carries the weight of building the very system that others take for granted. Judge Meredith Shaw's fall wasn't about a single torn paper, it was about forgetting that every person who stands before you has a story you can't see.